What's up, everyone? Aaron Egler here with some extra cheese for you on Tuesday afternoon. Coming to you live from the LiveX studios, though not really up and running. Just coming to you from my laptop, as you can see from this gorgeous overhead lighting. Fun times, good times. Just wanted to give a shout out to one of our sponsors at Cheesehead TV, Ticket King. They've been with us for a while. We haven't really mentioned them on video, but with the schedule release coming up and people undoubtedly getting online to buy tickets, or if you're in Green Bay, they're right across the street from Lambeau Field, I thought I'd give a shout out to Ticket King. They're based in Wisconsin since 1992. Ticket King is located across the street from Lambeau on Oneida. They're happy to help you find just the right tickets for Packers games, from large groups to single tickets, both home and away, not just Lambeau games, any Packers game. They partner with local Green Bay businesses for tailgating and bus transportation to the game, so you don't have to worry about driving or parking. They're even open on game day for last-minute tickets and possible upgrades. They even have a drive-through window. You don't even need to get out of your car if you don't want to. And if you're not in Green Bay, it's no problem. Just use the Ticket King link on the Cheesehead TV homepage. It's right down there on the right-hand side. If you scroll down a little bit, right hand, Ticket King, it's right there. Schedule's coming out tomorrow. You know those tickets are going to go fast. Go on Ticket King. Do it either in Green Bay, through Cheesehead TV. Get to Ticket King. Get all your tickets that you need for Packers games, home and away. What more do you need? Hello, everybody in the chat. Good to see you all. Go Pack. What's up, man? Have you ever seen any Packers schedule leaked? Have you seen not this year, not so far. Everything will start coming out tomorrow, undoubtedly. Thoughts on a quarterback at 30, AJ? Again, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but you know, if Gutekunst loves a guy and he's there at 30 and he takes him, I have no problem with that. I know there are some Packer fans who will probably freak out about it, but I will not be one of them. Now, looking at our opponents, the only hostile away games we really could have is the Chiefs and our divisional games. We own Dallas. The Chargers don't have a fan base, and the Redskins don't either. Oh, are they on the road again for Washington? I forgot about that. I mean, the Chiefs, that's always a tough environment, no doubt about it. And the divisional games, yes, of course, especially Minnesota, that's always tough. But Dallas, I wouldn't dismiss it. They're going to have a very tough defense, and it's not like they can just roll in and beat anybody at this point, meaning the Packers. You know, it'll be tough. All those games are tough. There's no doubt about it. Mandalorian trailer, has it been released yet? I haven't seen it. I've only seen pictures. Home against Washington. Yeah, I thought so. Thank you. Taylor Rapp or Nasir Adderley? Probably Adderley, Matthew, but I wouldn't be upset with either one of them. Leaked. What's leaked? Oh, the trailer? Cool. I'll wait till it's out. Did the power go out in the studio? No, this is extra cheese, even though it says Packers Daily behind it. Interesting to hear Rodgers say they are working on formations and scheme terminology during offseason workouts. Didn't know that's allowed. It is and it isn't. They're not allowed to do installs. They're allowed to talk concepts. There's a whole kind of gray area there where they can skirt along certain things, but they're not allowed to do any kind of install on-field work. The stuff that's done in the classroom, there are limitations of what they can talk about, but they are allowed to do certain things. So ready for training camp to start so we can get an idea of how we look. Cody, I think, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this offseason program goes. I'm interested to see how many of the vets stick around for the voluntary, in quotes, mini camp over draft weekend. Is the kicker competition for real? Good question, Paul. I would think it's mostly about giving Crosby, yes, a little bit of competition, but also letting Crosby rest his leg a little bit. I think it does serve to kind of, you know, a little kick in the pants a little bit after the issues he had last season, which, I mean, look, I still think Mason Crosby is a quality kicker, but you cannot be paying the guy what they're paying him and have as many bad misses as he had last year. Regardless of if it's the holder, the snapper, the operation, as they used to call it, you got to make those kicks. And, you know, if he's unable to in a consistent way, then they got to go find somebody else. And I don't know about Ficken. being the answer, but Feckin, whatever his name is. But bringing in some competition, hopefully focusing him a little bit more, resting his leg a little bit. Hopefully that all adds up to another strong season for Mason Crosby. When does LaFleur speak to the media again? Chris, I would imagine probably during the draft. I know we got a alert today that Gutekunst will hold his press conference on Monday next week. But for LaFleur, I would think it would probably be during the draft. Share and subscribe, people. Andrew, thank you, buddy. That's right. Share, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies. Cheesehead TV on YouTube. Share, like, subscribe. Come on, people. How much slot time do you think Davante Adams gets? Good question. And a funny handle. I think the more they keep him on the field, the better. And if that means using him extensively in the slot, I think they will. I don't think it's going to be exclusive in any way, shape, or form, but I think whatever they need out of the slot, they can use Davante Adams for. I don't think there's a spot on the field that he can't handle. I do think it'll be helpful when they face teams that have top flight corners. Not that I don't have faith in Davante being able to shake free, but it's harder to roll coverages to a guy who's playing in the middle. So I think you'll see some of that gamesmanship, and I think you'll see a healthy, liberal dose of Davante in the slot throughout the season, but I don't think it'll ever be his primary position. Mike Daniels last year with Green Bay, history would tell you yes. They rarely hand out those third contracts for defensive players, or players in general, but especially on the defensive side of the ball. We'll have to see. Nags, do you think the Packers could select Greedy Williams out of LSU? Alex, yes. Listen to yesterday's Pack-A-Day podcast from Andy Herman. He had a 32-team mock draft, and I was on the clock for the Packers at 12. And while I did say, given how that board fell, I probably would have tried to trade down. That was not an option in this exercise. So I had the Packers select Greedy Williams. I absolutely think that's a possibility. Is it likely? Probably not. But with the way the board fell in that mock, he made a world of sense, at least to me. Nags, Jamon breakout season. Let's quantify what breakout means. I mean, does it mean a lack of drops and a little bit more playing time because they actually trust him? To me, that's maybe not a breakout year, but that's a significant improvement from what we saw last season, which could only be categorized as a colossal disappointment. It's all in front of him, as Mike McCarthy used to say. He's got the tools. He's got to put it together himself. There is no one else that can do it for him. Now, yes, they've got a new scheme, new coaching staff. That all helps. But all of his problems last year were self-inflicted. If he can get out of his own way, the sky's the limit for the kid, no doubt. Does Devin White make it to 12? And if so, sorry, I missed where'd it go? Does Devin White make it to 12? And if so, if it's between him and Hockenson, where do you go, Nags? Between those two, I'd probably take Hockenson. I think Devin White's a really good player, or will be a really good player. I think Hockenson could be potentially a transcendent player. That's just me. It's my own personal opinion that I know plenty of people disagree with. But it's my chat, and he asked. Mags, what is your expectation for Adrian Amos next year? I think it's interesting because we don't really know who's going to be running opposite him, right? I think if they can find, most likely through the draft, a athletic center fielder that allows him to come down into the box a little bit more, I think he can really kind of mess some stuff up for opposing offenses. But at the same time, he's going to have to probably be the general back there, the guy kind of directing traffic, so to speak, and he's going to have a lot on his plate. Interested to see how he handles that responsibility. All that said, I think he's going to be, if not a high-flying playmaker, not a guy you're going to see on SportsCenter a lot, I do think he is going to help solidify things on the back end for the Packers where they have needed help desperately for a very long time. Has your draft crush changed since the offseason started? Nope. Still at Oliver. And I saw DJ had him going 3 overall to the Jets today. Oh, breaking my heart. I mean, it's possible. Nick says Kuhn. Yes, the Packers announcing earlier today that John Kuhn is joining the Packers broadcast and digital teams, which is something I knew about for a while now. But they have formally announced it, which is awesome. I think John will do a great job in those roles. Clearly has a connection with the fan base, and I know he kind of worked through, had come up and wanted to get into broadcasting, etc. He was out here in Jersey for the broadcast boot camp a couple years ago. Great guy, great Packer. I think he'll kill it in that role, no doubt. Grossi Posse's in the house. What's up, boys and girls? Does Eric Berry get signed before the draft? That's a really good question, John. I would think if it were to happen, it'd probably be late next week. And I'll say that, and I'll get done, and he'll get signed right now. But that's my guess. Banky breathed a sigh of relief with the Ficken signing, considering it decreases the chances Green Bay spends a pick on a special teams player. Probably true. You're probably right. That's assuming that Corey Banky even knows that they picked up a kicker on waivers. Oh, I was just going to call him in, but he just left. Guys, download the Cheesehead TV draft guide. A huge amount of work went into it, and it shows, worth every penny. Cody, check is in the mail, buddy. Thanks, guys. You can order it on the homepage there at cheeseheadtv.com. Any news on Mo Wilkerson? Brad, absolutely nothing. Not a hint, not a sniff, no nothing. That's something that could potentially happen after the draft, only because, if for no other reason, then they want to see how things shake out there. They could potentially select a defensive lineman in the draft. Also, it could be medical driven. Maybe he can't pass a physical yet. Or they could potentially sign him right before the draft, much like they did with Jahri Evans a couple years ago. There's any number of possibilities there. I don't think the door is closed there at all. But, we'll have to see how it plays out. I think that they'll probably try and get through the draft and see how things play out in that regard. Next, what free agent signing that worried? Is there a free agent signing that worried me? No. I know a lot of noise was around how much money they spent on some of those signings, but as far as the players they actually signed, not at all. I think they did a fine job recognizing talent, guys who have been durable throughout their NFL careers at this point, younger guys, not like the old crew that they got the last couple of years. They got guys going into their second contracts, 26, 27, et cetera, entering their primes, 25, 26. I thought they did a really good job of identifying players that could come in, help them immediately, and continue to grow with their core group that they're building. Which game should I go to, Green Bay versus Chargers or San Francisco? Oof. That's weird because, the Chargers are in such a weird stadium, but I would think probably, I guess, the San Francisco game, but man, that stadium is whack. But the Chargers barely play in a stadium. They're playing in a soccer stadium, for God's sakes. What do we think of Lazard? Ryan, you're talking about the wide receiver that they poached off the Jacksonville Jaguars practice squad last year. Don't really know much. I haven't seen, obviously, any NFL tape on the kid. I didn't really see much of his college tape. I looked at a little bit when he got signed or when they got him off the practice squad. But I'm interested to see him on the field this offseason and potentially in the summer if he makes it that far. Let's talk about Allison. What's your stat prediction if he can have a fully healthy season? Still looking for that first full season without injuries. Sky's the limit because Aaron Rodgers completely trusts the kid. I think he'll definitely be the starter opposite Davante Adams in week one on the perimeter. I know they've made some rumblings about him being able to play in the slot. I don't see a ton of work for him there, but I do think he'll be a solid number two on the perimeter. Stat projections wise, who knows? It's a new offense. It's really hard to say. I would, think 800-900 yards, handful of TDs. That sounds about right. StubHub is barely a stadium. That's right, Sebastian. Is it wrong to love the Chargers stadium? Maybe the future NFL stadium. It's not wrong to love anything. You love what you want to love as long as you're not hurting anybody else, but it's not my cup of tea. I'll tell you that. Devin Bush is exciting to watch him. I hope we can get him. Bully, I'll tell you what I love about Devin Bush is such an explosive athlete, obviously, that pops off the screen, but it's his ability to diagnose quickly and take perfect angles to the ball carrier and just exploding sideline to sideline in that regard. You really like watching him. He's an exciting athlete. He was my other choice when I was on the clock for the mock draft there at Pack-A-Day podcast. I took Greedy Williams because I think he's just a bit better overall player. But I don't think you can go wrong with either one of those guys. A.J. Brown or DK Metcalf? Seems I answer this question pretty much every day, but I understand it's the draft. Everybody wants to know these things. I'm going to go with A.J. Brown. That's no slight on Metcalf, but to me, Brown is a more complete player. You can do a lot more with him. Woo, Nick, that's a bold proclamation. If Allison can stay healthy, he could be as dominant as Davante Adams. Don't at you. I won't at you, sir, but I will tell you that that's a tall order. Are you concerned about whether Josh Jackson can improve from last season? Ryan, the only thing I'm concerned with is my children. But as far as Josh Jackson goes, again, I've been saying it all offseason. It's really up to him. He's got the tools. He's got to stop grabbing people. I mean, the coverage aspects, the physicality, help and run support, his technique when covering wide receivers downfield, all of that I have solid confidence in. But if he does nothing to improve the fact that he continually grabs guys past the 5-yard marker, that's going to kill the defense. That's going to kill the Packers. And he can't do it. He's got to fix that. He's got to stop that bad habit. If he can do that, I like where he's headed. You won't answer Baker questions. What do you want to know about Baker? Baker Mayfield? He was QB1 last year. I love Baker. Is Dexter Lawrence worth the character risk if they cannot get Oliver at 12? That's a good question, John. Unfortunately, it's a question only the guys inside 1265 can answer. I mean, to me, yes, but I'm not the one signing him to the deal and has to worry about the consequences if he screws up, right? That's why they do. And, DJ's talked about this a lot since he came over to the media side over at NFL Network. Scouts used to spend 60, 70, almost 80% of their time in the film room. We're breaking down prospects on their game on the field. And now a lot of the scouts spend the majority of their time digging into background stuff, character stuff. That's what scouting has become right now. So these days in the modern NFL. So, no one's going to know more about any of these prospects than the people inside the walls at 1265 Lombardi. I can read some stuff online. I can, do a little digging, etc. But I'm never going to know what those people know. And that's why I rarely kind of venture down that avenue as far as character concerns and red flags go. In fact, I did a video with Honey Badger a couple years ago for Sports Illustrated about red flag guys, quote unquote, and his, message to them, because he was a red flag guy coming out. And I just, there's always a number of levels to each of those stories. And I would never presume to kind of label guys one way or the other without knowing all the facts and without talking to the people involved. Jesse, how far away are we from 20,000 subscribers? Too far away. Way too many people not hitting subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your family, and tell them all to use Ticket King for all their Packers tickets needs. I'm telling you, they've been in Wisconsin since 1992. The schedule comes out tomorrow. You guys are going to know when the Packers play and where. You want to book hotels. You want to get your tickets. Do it at Ticket King. Ticket King the link is right there on the Cheesehead TV homepage, a little bit lower on the right side, about halfway down the page. Use that link. Or if you're in Green Bay, walk across the street from Lambeau on Oneida. They're right there for all your Packers ticket needs. Ticket King, they got you covered. All right, everybody, I'm going to have to jump. Thank you so much, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow with another Packers Daily. Maybe it's something a little bit more because, it's a schedule release. So hopefully by the time I go live tomorrow afternoon, we'll have the schedule. Otherwise, thanks a lot, everybody. Like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your family. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a good night.